Now, this is something I didn't have on my 2022 bingo card. Casey Anthony, we're discussing her because I think it's 11 years later. She has now opened up in a docuseries, and we'll talk a little bit about that because she has now told us who she believed killed Caylee. What was that? Was that Casey Anthony's daughter, Caylee Anthony? I believe so. It's been so long since we've talked about this case. I don't quite remember. I'm JB Gunner. This is JB Gunner TV. Let's go ahead and get right into it.
Bring it back.
Today is going to be kind of a true crime day here on the channel, as we're going to be talking about the Casey Anthony case, update on the Idaho students. We got a Phoenix family murdered, hazmat suits involved. We got all kinds of shit. Then Daryl Brooks gets sentenced to 6 life sentences, and then I guess we're going to the moon again. You know, or for the first time maybe. Guys, I'm JB Gunner. This is JB Gunner TV. We're going to start your day off today talking about Casey Anthony. Before we do, though, I want to say first and foremost, thank you to everybody that supports this channel, regardless of the method you choose, whether it's Cash App, Patreon, Venmo. Truth is, guys, I couldn't do this each and every day as often as I do if it wasn't for you, the Gun Squad. Thank you so much. If you, too, find my content valuable, feel free to hit the links down below. Support the channel today. Join the Gun Squad. We all know YouTube and all these different sites, they're continuously trying to take me down, continuously trying to suppress truthful free speech. And you guys are what makes this happen. So while you're down there, do yourself a favor. Subscribe to my Odyssey Rumble, please. Follow me on Twitter. That way you can keep up to date if one of these platforms takes me down. You always have access to me. We are going live tonight at 8 p.m. First hour here on YouTube and Odyssey and Rumble. Second hour where we drop YouTube out and do it just on Odyssey and Rumble. All right, let's go ahead and get on to this because this is an interesting story. For you guys that do not remember, I believe it was 2008. I think so. I think it was 2008 that Caylee Anthony ended up dead, missing, and then we came to be dead. Well, it's really interesting because we're seeing a case that resembles this a lot right now with the Quentin Simon case. And so Leilani Simon does remind me a lot of Casey Anthony, mainly because I just want to put my dick in the face. But same thing, right? It's ultimately the same thing. And obviously she was nailed by the press, the media. Everybody said she did it. My opinion then was much like my opinion is with Leilani Simon. I don't believe they did it, but I believe they covered it up. I believe there was accidents. I believe certain shit happened, and they disposed of the body because they didn't want to deal with the consequences. Let's get to this story. I like my life, says Casey Anthony. I'm sure she does. I'm sure down in Florida, there's plenty of people that will fuck the shit out of her and be around her just because, let's just be perfectly honest, she's a celebrity. You may not like how she's a celebrity, but she's a celebrity. Even I've considered it, right? I lived in Florida for quite some time. I considered it too. It just is what it is. Same way I consider it with Leilani Simon. I don't understand. Some of us are sickos, you know what I mean? Casey Anthony reveals she started over with the money from her defense team. So I want you guys to understand, she started over with the money that was given to her for her defense after 2011 acquittal, and complains that she was railroaded by the media, as she accuses her father of raping her as a girl and killing her daughter, Caylee. And here's the thing. I'm on the fence with this because I understand women make false accusations all the time. And a lot of these false accusations is to get out of decisions they've made. I've told you guys a long time ago about me and my boy Casper back in the day. We were smashing on a regular. A friend of ours, broad. As soon as the broad got caught being a whore, right? This was somebody that fucked literally every single one of his friends, right? As soon as she got caught, she then accused everybody of taking the pussy. Luckily, we had cameras in our house. She had ultimately agreed to being fucked on camera, and it all came unraveling for her. Ultimately it didn't work out for her. But this is the type of things that women do, is that ultimately When they get caught in some shit, the first thing to do is to blame it on other people. You see it all the time with the Me Too movement. These hoes in Hollywood suck dick to get the parts to move up in the business. And so what they did is they're like, oh, Harvey Weinstein raped me. Did he? Or did you just suck dick to get the job? Let's just call it what it is. Say if you're a woman and you suck dick to get the promotion or the job, you didn't get raped. You didn't get raped at all. A lie. I lied, she says, but no one asked why. Admitted she lied. Why hasn't Casey Anthony ever been charged with perjury? Just curious. She just admitted she lied in her case. But no one ever asked why. Casey Anthony says in Casey Anthony, Where the Truth Lies, which airs November 29th. Casey, now 36, claims the last time she saw her daughter was in her father's arms on June 16, 2008. She says she woke up from her nap. Now, I want you to understand, you can see how this kind of correlates, how this connects kind of with Leilani Simon. Ain't it odd how both of these women just wake up from sleeping with their babies dead? Now, I actually believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly, that's exactly what happened, that both of these women, because how many times have you been with a woman and things of this nature, and she just sleeps all day while her kids runs around the house? Things like that, right? I see it out of women all the damn time. And I've continuously asked them and spoke to them, how would you let your kids run around the house like this? Aren't you afraid they could do something that would harm themselves? And I've always told women, you can't allow that in my house. If I'm asleep, your kids are asleep. It's like that. You guys can't even be awake. None of you. None of you. If I go to sleep at 2 p.m., y'all motherfuckers go to sleep at 2 p.m. That's the way I run shit in my house. And if they don't like it, they can get the fuck out. That's the truth. She says she woke up from her nap asking, where's Caylee? Then appeared with her soaking wet and unconscious. Then appeared with her soaking wet and unconscious in his arms. Damn. Casey repeats old unfounded claims that George, age 71, abused her as a child and says he moved on to Caylee. Now, I've seen this George fella, and I wouldn't be that surprised, to be perfectly honest. I wouldn't be that surprised at all. But however, whenever people make these claims years later, it doesn't seem credible. Looking at Casey Anthony, because she's definitely an attractive woman, it's definitely possible. Right? Let's be honest here. And if he happens to be a weirdo, if he happens to be a chomo, it makes sense that he would continue his path of chomodom, right? George has always denied abusing his daughter or having anything to do with Caylee's disappearance. Neither he nor his wife Cindy were ever implicated in the criminal investigation. Casey says, I'm not outright accusing him of murder, but it wasn't an accident in the pool. Don't that sound a lot like the Leilani Simon shit? So here's what probably happened. Let's just be perfectly honest. Bitch dude does drugs, drinks too much, whatever, just like Leilani Simon, wakes up, dead baby in the pool, like, oh shit, I gotta dispose of the body. Let's be honest here. Let's be honest. It's more than likely the same thing in both situations. Just a piece of shit young mother drinking or drugging, and wakes up and her baby died because the mama was too fucking doped up or drunk to wake up when baby was doing dumb shit, right? Casey Anthony says she likes her life in Florida when she started over in 2011 after a shock acquittal with money from her defense team. Anthony was infamously acquitted of murdering her 2-year-old daughter Caylee after a highly publicized trial during which she was dubbed the most hated woman in America. She has always denied killing Caylee, despite cadaver dogs picking up the traces of human remains in her vehicle. Caylee's skeletal remains were discovered near the family property in Orlando, Florida. And I want to make this clear, just like the Leilani Simon case, just because they covered up the death does not mean they murdered. I don't believe Casey Anthony is a murderer, and I don't believe Leilani Simon is a murderer. I believe they were dope fiends, little drunk kids. Their kids died, and they said, oh, fuck, I can't call 911. You know why I believe that? Because I would have done that. And I'm being dead up honest with you. If I was so drunk or something that I didn't notice my kids fucking killing themselves or doing something stupid, why would I call the police? Why would anyone call the police? That sounds dumb. That sounds stupid. What are the police gonna do? The police ain't gonna bring the little motherfucker back. That's the honest to God truth. But the public would know the truth. You're saying right now, who gives a fuck you? I don't give a fuck if the public knows the truth. What the fuck you cocksuckers gonna do to me? Either way, who gives a shit? But I'm always saying, calling the police has to be an absolute emergency. My life's in danger. That's the truth. Because let's just say I was drunk, passed out, and my baby somehow electrocuted itself or something. They're gonna blame that shit on me. You're gonna have to do some investigating, bro, because I ain't about to help you. Because calling 911 will not bring that child back to life. All it will do is cause harm to me. So I actually would do the exact same thing as Leilani Simon and Casey Anthony. I ain't calling shit. I'm just being dead honest with you. And most of you people watching this right now, you feel exactly what I'm saying. You feel it. So the fact that now I have to admit, throwing them in dumpsters and landfills and shit like that's a little cold-blooded. But what else you gonna do? What else you gonna do? Yeah, you can give them to the police. For what? And I'm asking you guys, seriously, in the comment section, for what? Let's go ahead and continue. Now, in her first sit-down interview, Casey appears in a 3-part docuseries on Peacock, where she claims that both her and her daughter were sexually abused by her father, George. She has claimed in the past that she was abused by her father and her brother. Everybody wanted to fuck Casey Anthony, I guess. Claims they vehemently denied. Neither of them have ever been charged in connection with the allegations, nor have they been implicated in Caylee's death. I'm gonna be honest with you. You can't cry wolf like that. Everybody was raping me. You can't say that. Everybody was raping me. That's probably not true, right? You overshot your shot. Let's just be honest. Casey claims in the new series, which airs on November 29th, that she woke up from a nap to find Caylee, who'd been with her, gone. She suggests that her father, George, had sexually abused her, claiming he did the same to her when she was a child. She maintains that only her father knows how Caylee died. But still something I can't piece together, but I wasn't the only one home. I'm not outright accusing him of murder, but it wasn't an accident in the pool, she said, refuting this theory her attorney put forward at the trial. That's crazy, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at this trailer real quick. Let's go ahead and take a look at this trailer.
911, what's your emergency? My daughter's been missing for the last 31 days.
It's happening, the most closely watched case, certainly since O.J. Simpson.
As to the charge of first-degree murder, not guilty.
And by the way, the people that went after Casey Anthony are just as fucking idiotic as the people going after Leilani Simon. It's the same thing. They never take into consideration what I'm saying about it just being disposed. They committed crimes by disposing of the bodies. But that does not mean you murdered someone. If you're my best friend and you're sitting here and you have a heart attack in my house because we're sitting here drinking beer or something, bro, I'm landfilling the fuck out of your ass. You're in the backyard. Because why would I want the unnecessary heat in my house, bro? Why would I want that? Why would I want the interrogation? Why would I want people asking me? Why would I want to? I got work to do. I run a business. Why would I want to be consistently down? So what happened? And then they're catching me up because I'm not trying to tell them everything because it's none of their goddamn business. Next thing you know, I'm a suspect. No, that don't sound good at all. That don't sound like a good time. I plead the fifth on everything. Now, the whole fifth. I like fifths. Let's roll.
Guilty. Casey's never told her story. Did she murder her daughter?
Casey interview? Marker?
Well, she has told her story. She did in court.
Why did I wait 31 days to call 911?
Did you do everything in your power to protect your daughter?
The public thought that Casey didn't want to be a mother.
The lies make you think that she did murder this child.
It's not the Casey that I knew. She loved that child.
I lied.
I believe that.
but no one asked why.
Good. There we go. Casey Anthony's grown up, ain't she? She has definitely grown up over the years. After the trial ended, she said she received no help or assistance from her family, but that her team of lawyers gave her a little money to move on with. I have fought so hard for a normal life, she goes on to say. My defense team was very adamant about making sure I was able to have a fresh start after the trial. I didn't receive any help or assistance from my biological family. I was given a little bit of money from my defense team to start to get on my feet. They were my surrogate family. She reveals that she started over in 2011 with money given to her by her defense team. And listen, if you're found not guilty, you deserve a second shot. I'm just saying this right now. You could think whatever you want to think about Casey Anthony, and maybe you're right, but she was found not guilty. And I agree she was not guilty of murder. So because she was not guilty, to believe that some of you guys believe she shouldn't have got a second chance. Why shouldn't she? She was not guilty. And I understand you sitting at home on your couch and shit, you're like, but I think she's guilty. That means her life should be over. Who the fuck are you? You're just some jackass watching this video, some dumb motherfucker sitting on their couch saying, I think she's guilty. Who are you? I've worked on a lot of cases over the years. The whole reason I'm doing what I'm doing now to pay forward what was done to me. I've spent the last 10 and a half years doing primarily criminal defense work because I don't ever want to see anyone be pigeonholed by not only by law enforcement, but by the media. This is crazy. Be railroaded like I was. I like my life. At least there are moments when I feel like I'm not alone. Where those holes in my heart that will never go away feel a little bit smaller. She still works for Pat McKenna, the lead investigator on our case in South Florida. Casey admits lying to police repeatedly in 2008. She last saw Caylee on June 16, 2008. She claims that she was woken up from a nap by her father, who was shaking her and asking where the toddler was. I wasn't feeling that great, and I wanted to lay down. Let's be honest, hungover maybe? Let's be honest. Let's be honest with ourselves, lady. I was awoken by my father saying blah, 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 blah. She would never, okay, here we go. I had her lay in the bed with me. I was awoken by my father shaking me and asking me where Caylee was. It didn't make sense. She would never even leave my room without telling me. I immediately started looking around the house. I go outside and I'm looking to see where she could be. He was standing there with her. She was soaking wet. He handed her to me. Oh, man. Yeah. Is that her father? He probably did touch her. That's not the way grown ass. He probably did touch. Does that look normal to you? Who sits there and holds their grown ass daughter like that? Oh no. That doesn't look right at all. Look at that. No, hell no. I don't think she's lying. Now, that's some chomo shit. I'm being dead on. That's some chomo shit. Ah, man, it's a sad moment. Said it was my fault, that I caused it. But he didn't rush to call 911, and he wasn't trying to resuscitate her. I collapsed with her in my arms. She was heavy and she was cold. He takes her from me, and he immediately softens his tone and says, it's going to be okay. I wanted to believe him. He took her from me, and he went away. Casey says in the documentary that she decided to finally give the interview because she wants to honor her daughter. I just need someone to be willing to listen. I've spent the last 10 years making sure that I knew who I was, that I started to cope with the loss, and that I had something to say to make my daughter proud, but also to honor her properly, and this part of that. It's hard because I have 1,000 questions go through my head. I'm responsible for answering everyone in the world's questions about her, about what happened. I still don't know what happened to Caylee. Whew. I know what I'm afraid of, she goes on to say. I know what eats me at night, day after day, because I know what I lived through. She said at the beginning of the first episode. Wow. She claims that her father, a former cop, raped her in her bedroom at night consistently for 4 years between the ages of 8 and 12. When I was 8 years old, my father started to come into my room at night. I was physically hurt, scared because I can't tell mommy what happened. She'll get mad at me. That's what I was told. With my father, the abuse one day just stopped right before my 12th birthday. Then my brother started coming in shortly after I turned 12, and it stopped around the time I was 15, so she was just fucking her family up forever. It wasn't the same thing that happened with my father. My brother never raped me, but it was close enough where there was a pattern. Her allegations have never been proven, they said. Cadaver dogs found human remains in the trunk of Casey's car. Well, more than likely she moved the body, let's be honest. Let's be honest. It took 31 days for Casey to call the police and tell them that Caylee was missing. On July 15, 2008, Casey's mother, Cindy, first alerted the authorities to Caylee's disappearance. The couple hadn't seen Caylee or Casey for a month. They then found Casey's car in a tow yard, and George said the smell took his breath away. In her 911 call, Cindy told the dispatchers, Caylee's missing. It smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car. Oh, man. Casey then told police that she'd left her daughter with a babysitter, Zunaida Gonzalez Fernandez, and that she was also missing. Now she claims in her Peacock documentary that the last time she saw her daughter was in her father's arms. During the 31 days, I genuinely believe that Caylee was still alive, she's claiming right now. I don't know if I believe that. My father kept telling me she was okay. I had to keep following his instructions. He told me what to do. I tried to act as normal as I could. She said she went to live with her boyfriend, then returned in July to find her daughter gone. I lied, but nobody asked me why, she says in the trailer for the Peacock docuseries. She then goes on to repeat old claims about her father abusing her. He'd put a pillow over my face and smother me to knock me out. That happened several times. I'm sure there were times when I was incapacitated as a child, where my body was limp and lifeless. She says now that she believes her father went on to abuse Caylee after her. That's what I think about. I wish every day I had said something to someone about something. Maybe then things would be different. George was in the past hit out at Casey's lies, telling a previous documentary that her claims just weren't true. He was forced to provide a DNA sample during the trial to disprove his daughter's lawyer's obscene suggestion that he incestuously fathered Caylee. You see what I'm saying? That's crazy. George also claimed Casey might have drugged her daughter, saying Caylee often slept for 13 hours at a time, just like Leilani Simon, probably a drug addict, right? The prosecution told the story of a young mother who regretted having kids and wanted a way out. She was photographed in bars and partying. Now, that's an interesting thing because they talk a lot about this, and we'll get to this. She then went on to live with Patrick McKenna, the lead investigator from her case. Let that sink in. While Casey was convicted of lying to police, the jury acquitted her of the murder. Let this sink in. The lead investigator of her case, she fucks. She lives with the man. Oh, bro, that's actually pretty intense, right? Now, Casey Anthony's father has now been seen outside his home in Florida as she claims that he murdered her daughter and blamed it on her to cover up sexual abuse. They saw him outside doing some yard work in his garage. That's him there. I don't know, man. I don't know. Some of those pictures of him in the past, I don't know, man. Look at the eyes, bro. Look at the eyes. There's something, look at the eyes. Now, this could just be a grumpy old man, but I kind of believe it. Now, you guys may look at me and say, that's crazy, JB, but I kind of believe it. Look at that man's eyes. Look right here. You can't get that any bigger. I kind of believe it. Look right there. I kind of believe it. I could be completely wrong, but I don't know if I'm completely wrong. I mean, granted, he could have just been tired of all this shit, people watching and shit. Casey Anthony, by the way, she claims she was working, not partying. Remember those pictures from the bar? When she was photographed dancing at clubs after Caylee's disappearance? Remember these images? Remember these? She said she was working at the time. And I believe it. You could take one look at her and tell, yeah, she was probably working the stroll, right? She was probably, come on, man. This is 4 days after she last saw Caylee alive, taking part in a hot body contest at the Fusion nightclub in Orlando. Good place. She claims now it was for work, not fun, and that she thought Caylee was with her father, George, and that makes a lot of sense. She looks like she's out there working, right? Let's just call it what it is. She looks like she, you know. It's Orlando, baby. I lived there several times. Like Vegas, the hookers ain't bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just being honest with you. These are just them type of chicks. I wouldn't be surprised at all if she was working. Now, I get it, a lot of you guys are going to disagree with that, and I get all that. But however, there was something that was interesting that was found in her computer. Now, I do want to mention this because I've said that I don't necessarily believe she killed it, but I want to show you guys something that actually is kind of a contradiction to my point. It said, looking at the internet history of the computer, okay? Someone in the Anthony household. Now, somebody in the Anthony household. Authorities performed a search on only one of the web browser, internet. After Casey Anthony was arrested, the authorities went through her computer to see if her internet searches provided any clues. They did. But the sheriff's office didn't find a number of searches for one simple reason. According to USA Today, authorities performed the search only on one web browser, the Internet Explorer. I can't believe that. Though Anthony or someone in the household did use Internet Explorer, Casey Anthony preferred to use Mozilla Firefox. When searching for suffocation on the former, there was 0 results. When searching on the right browser, not only did suffocation come up, but there was 1,200 other searches. Looking at the internet trail of the computer, the person who looked up suffocation, adding the tag foolproof and misspelling suffocation as suffocation, then clicked on an article that listed several methods. So I want to say this. The one technique written about was using poison. Another was putting a bag over the head. The search was made on the last day Caylee was seen alive, and 5 months later, Caylee was found wrapped in a plastic bag. Who did the search? Was it her or was it Dad? That's a pretty big thing to overlook. That's a pretty big thing to overlook. Let's go ahead and listen to Casey Anthony.
First time on camera. Casey Anthony, the woman infamously accused and later acquitted of murdering her own daughter, Caylee.
As to the charge of first-degree murder, not guilty.
Casey's never told her story.
Is now addressing lingering questions more than a decade after that not guilty decision.
911, what's your emergency? My daughter's been missing for the last 31 days.
Including why it took a month to report Caylee's disappearance and what happened on the last day she saw her daughter.
The only person in this world that matters to me still is my daughter. But I'm still defending the fact that I didn't hurt her.
In a 3-part limited series, Anthony blames her father, George, for the tragic death, alleging that he staged Caylee's drowning in order to cover up that he might have been abusing his granddaughter. She tells Peacock, owned by NBC Universal, which also owns NBC News, that the day Caylee disappeared, she actually fell asleep with the 2-year-old child in her arms, only to be awakened by her father, later holding the lifeless child. In the series,
and you know what? If that's accurate, and that's exactly how it happened, she was asleep, and I'm just saying, it makes sense, right? All of it makes
Casey
sense.
says she was soaking wet. I can see him standing there with her in his arms and hand her to me and telling me that it's my fault, that I did that I caused that. But he didn't rush to call 911 and he wasn't trying to resuscitate her. For 31 days, Anthony says she thought her daughter was alive and well while she stayed with a boyfriend.
She was perfect.
But back in 2011, Anthony's defense team telling a different story, arguing in court that Caylee was not killed, but drowned in the family pool. And after the child was found, he helped dispose of the body in order to cover up the death, something George Anthony repeatedly denied during testimony. Casey Anthony.
See, that makes sense to me because that's exactly what I think happened with Leilani Simon, with Quentin Simon. It's the exact same thing, and it happens all the time. Mothers, especially mothers that are party girls and do drugs and drink and shit like that, it happens with them all the time. A lot of these hoes shouldn't be moms. They should just be hoes. Just suck dick, bitch. No having babies. That's the truth.
Anthony now admits she lied about a host of circumstances to police as a consequence of a fractured family life and a father who lawyers accused of sexually abusing her for years.
Damn.
I lied. But no one asked why.
George Anthony also vehemently denied those abuse allegations in court and has never been charged with any crimes related to them. He has not responded yet to our new request for comment on the documentary. As one of the most controversial trials in recent memory,
Did you do everything in your power to protect your daughter?
deepens with another voice and another chapter.
And Casey Anthony
That's
was
wild.
convicted of several charges, including lying to police for which she served time behind bars. That
I forgot
documentary
about that.
will be available on November 29th on Peacock. Guys, back to you.
All right, Sam Brock for us there in Florida. Sam, thank you.
That is wild, ain't it? So she was actually convicted of lying. She reveals why she waited 31 days to call.
Latest explosive allegation to come from the first interview given by Casey Anthony since her acquittal 11 years ago in her daughter Caylee's death. She is blaming her father for the death of her daughter.
There are more explosive revelations from the new docu-series about the notorious Casey Anthony.
What do you think my question is going to be?
Why did I wait 31 days to call 911?
911, what's your emergency? My daughter's been missing for the last 31 days.
Once known as the most hated woman in America, Casey Anthony is interviewed for a 3-part series on the Peacock streaming
It's gonna
service.
it's gonna be good. But no one asked why.
But no one asked why.
Yeah, we get
During the trial, the complete 911 call was played for the jury.
Why didn't you call 31 days ago? I've been looking for her and have gone through other resources to try to find her, which was stupid.
This additional clip ran on the Today Show.
The only person in this world that matters to me still is my daughter. But I'm still defending the fact that I didn't hurt her.
The new documentary is also generating headlines like this. Casey Anthony blames her father for daughter Caylee's death. When contacted today by Inside Edition, George said, "I am in contact with an attorney. That's all I can say at this moment."
Damn.
He was tight-lipped when photographers approached him today.
Do you have any comment about your daughter's allegations?
The allegation, George, have you got anything to say?
George Anthony previously has denied having anything to do with Caylee's death. Casey Anthony, Where the Truth Lies, begins streaming on Peacock November 20.
That's going to be an interesting documentary. Let's just call it what it is. Nancy Grace, by the way, this old bitch, she slams the docuseries. Nancy Grace, you know, a lot of her name was made during this case. Let's not forget about. I hate this woman.
11 years since Casey Anthony was acquitted of the murder of her little girl Caylee, and now she's speaking out in a new docuseries. And the director says that Anthony had no control over how she's portrayed.
Casey Anthony, once dubbed the most hated woman in America, is back. 11 years after she was acquitted of murdering her 2-year-old daughter Caylee, she is interviewed in a new docuseries on the streaming service Peacock.
Why talk to me now when you're not getting creative control?
The release of the limited trailer is provoking outrage.
I'm stunned that she has a 3-part.
That is one of the most horrible looking. I hate that woman. Look at how much of a witch she looks like. How can anyone look at Nancy Grace and feel good about it? Come on.
So-called documentary.
Nancy Grace, who covered the Casey Anthony case, says she was actually approached by the makers of the series to interview Anthony.
It was a no for me.
Why?
The moment I was asked.
Why?
I did not want to be part of anything that seemingly glamorizes someone who I believe murdered a 2-year-old baby girl.
But are you not a journalist? You're telling me after all these years, the very case you covered, you wouldn't want to be the journalist asking her the questions? Yeah, this is how you know Nancy Grace is a fraud. You have the chance right now. You had the chance after all of this case to sit down with her and ask her the questions, and you said no. It would glamorize her. Why? You think that you doing your job and asking her the questions you've been wanting to ask her for 11 years glamorizes her? Come on, man.
Own child. They'll probably get great ratings. It's like going to the zoo and looking at the snake behind the glass. I hate snakes, but I look at them.
We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty.
Casey Anthony's acquittal on the murder charge was front-page news in 2011. Now 36, she has been leading a low-key life in Florida. Although she made headlines last year when she called 911 after reportedly getting into an argument with another woman in a bar.
What's the incident? It's a thrown drink.
I'm still wet. I got a drink thrown at me.
Nancy Grace has a damning verdict on the woman she calls Tot Mom.
Everything Tot Mom says is a lie.
In a statement, the documentary maker says public opinion of Casey Anthony has been largely shaped by the media, convinced of her guilt.
Exactly.
What emerges over the course of multiple interviews recorded over 6 months is a startling psychological portrait of Casey Anthony. I believe the result will surprise many and cause the American public to look at this story in a new light.
I believe so too, and I think the American public needs to look at it in a new light, just like Leilani Simon. These people are not killers. They're just people that got scared at their children dead, and they didn't want to call the police. That's all this is. That's all it's ever been. But you guys are like, no, that means they killed them. No, they just were neglectful parents. Young, neglectful, drunk or drug addict using parents. And unfortunately, while they napped or slept, the kids fucking died. I just want to make this clear. Not calling the police doesn't make someone a bad guy. I'm sorry, and I know you may disagree with that, but not reporting something isn't the same thing as doing something to someone. Do you understand what I'm saying? In this scenario, if the kids are already dead, I'm being dead honest with you. There is no obligation for you people at home, for the media, for anyone. It's none of your goddamn business. But it does not mean that they are killers. And that's what you need to understand. I've seen killers. I know killers. I was raised around killers. I did time with killers. I know killers. And these ladies are not the killers. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of moms that are. These are horrible mothers. But they're not killers.
I don't want to hear any of her BS.
Casey Anthony, Where the Truth Lies, begins streaming on Peacock November 20th.
It's going to be a good docuseries. Guys, let me know in the comment section. Are you going to watch this docuseries? Just curious. I'm gonna watch it, no doubt about it. Just to piss Nancy Grace off, to be perfectly honest. Guys, let me know in the comment section. Do you agree with me here? Or do you think Casey Anthony killed her daughter? What do you think about the allegations against her father? I cannot believe we just did a 40-minute video after all these years on Casey Anthony. But she's back in the news. I'm thejbgunner. This is thejbgunner TV. If you guys like what I do here and you want to support the channel, by all means, hit the links down below. Show your boys some love. We will be live tonight at 8 p.m. First hour here on YouTube and Odyssey and Rumble. Second hour just on Odyssey and Rumble as we tell YouTube to fuck off. Love you guys. Your next video will also be a true crime video. Hope you guys have a fantastic Thursday. I'll see you guys soon. Peace out.